From her perch above the valley, Lena saw what no one else wanted to believe. The ridge beneath her elbows was jagged and sun-bleached, stone already warming under the weight of early light. She had been told to keep watch. No more, no less. "Observe and report," Hale had said in his even voice. And so she lay prone, her cheek against the stock of her rifle, watching a valley that stretched 800 meters across and into a far ridge blurred by morning haze. Her call sign was Eagle Eye. It felt more like a reminder than a compliment. She wasn't here to decide, only to see. Below her, 3 figures moved with slow precision: Lieutenant Hale, Corporal Moreno, Private Kadir. Overwatch 1, advancing into the valley floor. Dust clung to their boots, rifles low but ready. She tracked them with the glass of her scope, then drifted upward to the slopes beyond. At first there was only emptiness. Rippling heat lines, a faint glare from the rising sun to her right. Then, something subtle. A thread of dust rising from the opposite ridge. Too faint for most to notice, but Lena had learned to trust her eyes. She adjusted the magnification, tightened her breath. Nothing but rocks. Still, she pressed the transmit switch. Eagle Eye to Overwatch 1. Possible movement on the far ridge bearing 110, dust trail minor. The reply came crisp. "Copy. Stand by, Eagle Eye." Hale's voice, flat, calm. The line cut. She bit the inside of her cheek. Stand by. It was always stand by. Minutes bled past. The patrol reached the low ground, a stretch of broken wadi carved dry. From above, they looked impossibly small. Moreno's helmet glinted once, then dipped out of view. Lena swung back to the far ridge. Her rifle's scope caught a sudden glint, sharp, metallic. She stiffened, sunlight striking glass. She toggled the radio again. Eagle Eye, visual possible optics on ridge. Grid Mark 725, range 1100 meters. Overwatch 1 copies, negative contact at our level. Continue observation. Her jaw tightened, negative contact. To them, it was standard movement, harmless reflection. To her, it was intent. She adjusted her scope again, waiting. Rocks, rocks, more rocks. Then, there. A shadow curled just behind a stone shelf. A figure moving slow, deliberate. One arm lifted, glass adjusted against the morning sun. It wasn't dust. It wasn't chance. Someone was watching her team. Lena felt the weight of her own rifle, heavy against her chest. Bolt action, long barrel, wrapped grip she had customized with worn tape. The scope gave her eyes reach that no other had. Her wind meter clicked softly in the rising breeze, numbers shifting against the faint rustle of the ridge grass. She wasn't meant to fire it today. She was here as eyes only. But the enemy had eyes too. She held the figure in her sight line. The motion was deliberate, too deliberate. Glass raised, adjusted, lowered, raised again. Not random. A sniper, searching. Her pulse quickened. She glanced down to the valley. Hale leading at the point, Moreno trailing, Kadir light on his steps. They moved blind into narrowing ground. If the man across the valley found them, it would take only one round. She keyed the radio again, sharper this time. Eagle Eye, firm contact. I have one silhouette with optics, bearing 110, high ridge, 1100 meters. Static, then Hale's measured reply. Eagle Eye copy. We do not have visual. Maintain observation. Do not engage. Her gut twisted. She pulled her eye from the glass, staring at the horizon without magnification. To anyone else, it was a smear of stone. But she had seen the movement. She knew. Her orders anchored her like weights, but each second the patrol drifted deeper into the valley. The shadow on the ridge became more dangerous. The sun climbed higher. Light struck hard off her scope until she shifted her position, angling the rifle under a strip of cloth she kept for concealment. Sweat traced down her spine. Isolation pressed in, the kind of silence where even the wind seemed to hold back. Her only connection was the occasional burst of clipped comms. Overwatch 1, crossing midpoint, Hale reported. Calm as always. Lena's breath came tight. Midpoint meant they were exposed, half a kilometer of bare valley floor on either side. She panned her scope again, heart jolting when the shadow shifted. A shoulder, a head, then a barrel, long and unmistakable, sliding into position behind the rock. Her stomach dropped. Sniper. He wasn't watching the horizon. He was adjusting down into the valley where her team walked in single file. Her throat worked dry. She could already see the line of fire. Hale at the front, a clean target. She imagined the sudden crack, Hale dropping without warning, Moreno scrambling, Kadir shouting in shock. She imagined the chaos that would follow, the patrol scattered, cut apart by an unseen shooter. She pressed her eye to the glass again, the crosshairs centered on the shadow. The figure steadied, intent clear. She whispered to herself, almost without sound. "He's locking on." No one answered. Only the radio hiss, the faint click of her own wind meter, and the stillness of the valley below. Lena gripped the transmit key once more, voice clipped, urgent. "Overwatch 1, Eagle Eye, confirm sniper, far ridge, he's sighting in on your lead." The reply was slower this time, waited. "Eagle Eye, copy, stand by." Stand by. Her chest burned with frustration. Stand by meant wait. Wait while her team marched blind into a scope. Wait while a finger tightened on a trigger across the valley. She pressed her cheek harder to the rifle stock, hands steady though her pulse thundered. She knew the distance, knew the wind call, knew her weapon could reach. But her orders held her back, invisible chains binding her trigger finger. The figure on the ridge settled into stillness. Only the barrel moved, sliding with lethal patience. Lena's hands curled against the rifle, tendons taut. From her perch above the valley, she saw what no one else could or would see. The enemy was already hunting, and her team walked directly into his sights. And then, at last, she knew the ambush was about to spring. The first crack of automatic fire shattered the silence and confirmed Lena's worst fear. From her high perch, she had tracked Hale's patrol as they dropped into the dry riverbed, a winding scar that split the valley. The wadi was narrow, walls rising on either side, an obvious kill zone if anyone had the foresight to use it. Hale had moved first, Moreno behind him, Kadir pulling rear. Their formation was tight, professional, but the ground gave them little cover. Lena had watched with her stomach tight, every step echoing like a countdown in her head. Through her scope, she had spotted it. Shadows on the flanks, figures slipping into position along the ridges. At 500 meters, they weren't ghosts. They were soldiers, rifles carried low, heads bobbing as they crouched into firing nests. Her breath hitched, and she pressed her transmit switch. "Eagle Eye to Overwatch 1. Multiple silhouettes on your flanks, bearing 185 to 210. Looks like squad strength, closing positions." A pause, then Hale's voice, clipped but steady. "Copy. Defensive posture. Moreno, shift left." The words barely left the radio before the valley erupted. The stuttering rip of machine gun fire filled the canyon, dust exploding from the wadi floor around Hale and his men. Echoes rolled up to Lena's ridge, sharp cracks ricocheting off stone. Kadir stumbled, spun, then dropped to a knee clutching his arm. Moreno darted to his side, dragging him against a small rock outcrop barely worth the name of cover. Hale planted himself forward, his rifle raised, but his head jerked left and right, searching for a threat he couldn't see. "Eagle Eye! Troops in contact!" Hale's voice tore through the comms. "Multiple hostiles, bearing 210. Lena's own chest clenched. Through her glass, she tracked bursts of fire chewing dirt just meters from Hale. Moreno's helmet bobbed as he crouched over Kadir, one hand pressing down, the other fumbling for his bandage kit. Enemy rifles sparked along the ridges, sharp muzzle flashes winking like fireflies against the stone. She pivoted her scope higher, sweeping. And then she froze. One figure wasn't firing. He lay prone, perfectly still, rifle stretched long across a stone shelf. The weapon wasn't aimed at suppressing fire, it was hunting. She felt her throat tighten as the lens magnified his position. A sniper. His barrel tracked slow, steady, downward, directly onto Hale. Her pulse spiked. She whispered aloud without meaning to. No. Wind tugged at her cloth wrap. Her rifle rested against her shoulder, loaded, zeroed. Rangefinder ticked. 1,200 meters. Beyond what Hale could ever spot from the ground. Beyond what the others could defend against. Her orders rang back like iron. Observe. Report. Nothing more. Her hand hovered near the bolt. She keyed her transmit again, voice sharper than before. Overwatch 1. Eagle Eye. Confirm hostile sniper. Far Ridge. Grid 726, range 1200. He's lining up on you. For the first time, Hale hesitated. Static broke across the channel. Then calm and resigned. Copy. Eagle Eye. Hold position. We'll manage down here. But Lena's scope told her the truth. The enemy sniper's body was locked, settled into bone rest. His cheek snugged against the stock. His barrel didn't waver. He was seconds from firing. Lena's lungs burned with indecision. She had been told to stay invisible, to remain nothing more than eyes on a ridge. One round fired would give her position away, compromise her entire overwatch. Yet if she stayed silent, Hale would be the first to fall, Moreno next, and Kadir bleeding out with no chance of survival. The radio hissed again with Hale's voice, closer now to the chaos. Contact heavy right flank. Moreno, keep pressure. Eagle Eye, stand by, stand by, stand by. Always stand by. Lena's thumb caressed the safety catch of her rifle. Her finger hovered near the trigger guard. Her heart thudded against the ground beneath her chest. She could feel every grain of sand, every gust of wind. The sniper across the valley exhaled. She could see it in the faint shift of his shoulders. He was about to take the shot. Her mind screamed the conflict. Obey orders. Save them. Stay invisible. Do something. Her decision narrowed to a breath. One breath, one heartbeat, one finger's weight of pressure. The machine guns roared, rifles barked, shouts filled the canyon below. And above it all, Lena's scope remained steady, her crosshairs fixed on the man who had Hale dead in his sights. She knew in that instant, if she didn't fire, Hale wouldn't live another 10 seconds. And she also knew her choice would change everything. Her fingers squeezed and the valley seemed to hold its breath. Lena's cheek was pressed hard against the worn comb of her rifle stock, her eye locked through the scope. Heat shimmered across the valley floor, making the world blur and dance. At this range, 1,200 meters, every mirage, every breath of wind mattered. She forced herself to focus on the enemy sniper's silhouette, a shape cut into the rocks across the canyon. The man they called Raven. Her wind meter clicked once in the dry air. She read the flutter. 1.2 mils left. Elevation dialed, crosshairs lifted slightly. The world around her, chaos on the valley floor, shouts over the net, gunfire echoing against stone walls, slipped away. All that existed was the reticle, the pressure of her trigger finger and the life-or-death balance of her shot. Down below, troops in contact. Hale's voice cut across her headset, sharp but steady. Overwatch 1 was holding his team together, though pinned hard. Moreno's frantic calls for cover, Kadir's strained breaths as he fought through pain. Lena's pulse hammered with every sound, but she did not move her focus. Her breathing slowed. 1, 2. She let the air out halfway and held it. The shot broke. The rifle bucked into her shoulder, the crack rolling out over the ridges. For the briefest moment, nothing. Only the trace of the round in her imagination, arcing across distance, spinning, cutting through shimmer. Then, far away, the echo of impact. Raven's position erupted in a burst of dust and silence followed. No second shot came back. No glint of glass. His nest had collapsed into stillness. "Enemy sniper neutralized," Lena whispered into the net, her voice steadier than her racing heart. For a long second, the canyon seemed to pause with her. The machine guns that had raked the valley faltered, their bursts breaking apart. The ambush began to crumble. Hale seized the moment. "Eagle Eye, your round saved us. All call signs, advance fire, push them out." The patrol surged. Moreno dragged Kadir into partial cover, bandaging quickly before joining Hale in the fight. Returning fire cracked through the canyon. The enemy fighters, deprived of their overwatch, lost momentum. Dust plumed as they retreated back into broken ground, their fire scattering weakly before fading. Lena stayed still, scope sweeping the far ridge for any sign of counter-snipers. Her lungs felt locked, her hands trembling only now, after the shot was done. She had revealed herself, fired against her orders. But if she hadn't, Hale would be gone. That truth burned hotter than fear. Static crackled. Then Hale's voice came again, not clipped, not cold, but weighted. "Eagle Eye, that shot just saved us all." Her throat tightened. She gave no answer. There was nothing more to say. Her eyes stayed on the scope, searching, until the last traces of enemy fire died and the silence grew heavy again. Minutes crawled by. The heat pressed down. Finally, the low thrum of distant rotors reached her ears, the extraction bird inbound. Dust swirled across the valley floor where her team gathered, shapes moving, wounded steadied, weapons lowered at last. Relief rolled through her in a wave, though beneath it coiled a quieter question. Had she disobeyed, or had she simply done what had to be done? Her hands trembled harder now, the rifle still cradled against her shoulder. She exhaled, long and ragged, eyes closing for the first time since the trigger broke. When she opened them, the valley below was alive again, not with gunfire, but with survival. And as the rotors grew louder, carrying her team back to safety, Lena stayed on her ridge, the invisible guardian, the one they almost never saw until it mattered most. Because in war, sometimes one round is the only choice.